Hey everyone, my name is Emily, and I'm here today to talk with you about some proper lifting techniques, both inside and outside of the gym. So, we're going to cover proper form, safety tips, and then I'm also going to talk about why flexibility is so important. So, first, let's talk about safety. There's a reason why every exercise you perform comes with instructions. They're not just to make you look good, but most importantly, they're to help you stay safe and get the most out of each exercise. So, when we're thinking about safety, we want to make sure we're practicing proper form and being aware of our surroundings so we don't get hurt and we get the most out of your training program. When talking about safety, one of the most important things to think about is proper warm up and stretching. We exercise for many reasons, whether that be to lose weight, build muscle, or just feel better about ourselves. But I think we can all agree that it's tough to do any of those things if you're lying on the couch with a pulled muscle. So that's why stretching is so important. When your body is properly warmed up, your muscles and joints are ready for maximum flexibility, which means you can perform each exercise with proper form. So stretching helps us to prevent injury, improve blood circulation to our muscles, and it prepares our muscles and joints for maximum flexibility. It's also kind of good to think of your muscles like rubber bands. If you spend all day sitting at a desk, hunched over a keyboard, those rubber bands have gone almost completely unused. And then if you take that and go to a gym setting and immediately start lifting heavy weights or sprinting really fast, those unstretched rubber bands get pulled apart very quickly and will snap more easily. So stretching is very important. And there are different kinds of stretches that might be better. We have static stretching and dynamic stretching. So static stretching is when you hold a stretch for 10 to 30 seconds and you're really only working 1 to 2 muscles at a time. With dynamic stretching, you're moving around a lot more and warming up several muscles to prepare them for the activity that you're going to do. So in this case, before weightlifting or doing any strenuous activity, dynamic stretching is best. So like I said, dynamic stretching is great because it activates the muscles that you're going to use during your workout. For example, a lunge with a twist is a dynamic stretching exercise that engages your hips, legs, and core muscles instead of just one muscle. Dynamic stretching also helps to improve your range of motion and flexibility. So, while it's great to do before a workout, this type of stretching is also great to do throughout the day. So, if you feel like you can barely bend over to tie your shoes after the end of a long day, a dynamic warm-up routine can help you feel more limber. So, here are just a few example exercises for dynamic stretching: jump rope, jumping jacks, leg swings, shoulder rotations. There are really many endless exercises that you can do. So I want to go over some weight room rules, some do's and don'ts for the weight room. One of the most important things is to always keep your back straight and aligned. This helps to prevent too much pressure from being on your spine. You always want to be aware of your surroundings as well. You want to make sure you're not going to hit anyone next to you, and then if you have to drop a weight, you want to make sure that you're going to be in a good spot for that. You want to perform a proper warm-up, like I said, do some stretching before you exercise. And if you are doing weightlifting, it's good to practice with the bar and go through the motion before you add any weight. This just lets you get the form down before you add too much weight. You also want to properly fuel your body before a workout. Make sure you've had something to eat or drink, and if you feel dizzy or lightheaded, make sure you stop the workout. You want to try and wear the correct clothing and shoes. Try and avoid restrictive clothing and get some shoes with good traction. And then if you are lifting weights, make sure all of the weight plates are secured on the bar so the weights aren't dropping on your feet. Here we have our weight room don'ts. So first off, never lift heavy weights without a spotter, especially if you're just starting out. It's always a great idea to have someone around in case a weight is too heavy and you need help putting it down. Don't lift more than you can handle. So when starting out, you want to shoot for a weight that you can do 8 to 12 reps comfortably. Don't hyperventilate or hold your breath when lifting. Doing this can cause you to faint or lose control of the weights. So just make sure you're breathing normally. Don't exercise any set of muscles more than 3 times a week, or at least get 48 hours in between so your muscles can rest. And then lastly, don't continue lifting if you feel pain. It's okay to take a break. So now I'm going to go over some common exercises that you can do in the weight room, and I really want to touch on proper form. And even if you're not doing these in the weight room, if you're just picking up something heavy off the ground, it's still really important to follow the proper form. So squats are a great exercise because they work your whole body. Your legs have to bend and straighten to carry the weight. Your abs and lower back muscles have to stabilize your trunk, and your shoulders and arms have to balance the bar on your back. So with squats, you want the weight to be on the heels and balls of your feet. You don't want it to be too much one way or the other. And a good way to tell if you're doing that correctly is to make sure you're able to wiggle your toes. Probably the most important thing with squats is to keep your back straight with a neutral spine, keep your chest and shoulders up, and keep looking straight at the wall. A neutral spine is so important because it helps to alleviate the pressure on your back. And then as you squat down, focus on keeping your knees in line with your feet. You don't want your knees to extend out too much or come in too much because that can put too much weight and pressure on them. The bench press is another common weight room exercise. This works your shoulders, triceps, and chest mostly. So with the bench press, you want to keep your feet flat on the floor and keep a natural arch in your back. You don't want to lay flat on the bench, but you also don't want to have too much curve in your back. So you want to have a neutral spine to prevent injury. And you also want to make sure you have a good grip. So those with longer arms might need a wider grip, while those with shorter arms might need a more narrow grip. Another thing with the bench press is you want to make sure your elbows don't flare out too much. You want them to be properly tucked at about 75 degrees. Here we have the deadlift, which is another full body exercise that involves lifting a weight off of the floor. So with the deadlift, your lower back must stay neutral to avoid injury. Rounding it during heavy deadlifts is dangerous for your spine because it puts uneven pressure on your spinal discs, which can injure them. Also, with the deadlift, you want to make sure you're standing up straight instead of leaning too far back. Again, this can cause pressure and strain on your back. So proper deadlift form involves a hip width stance, narrow grip, vertical arms, a neutral spine, and you want your core to be tightened. And as you can see here on the left, we have an example of what a neutral back looks like. And as you can see on the right, he's standing straight instead of leaning too far back. So that's the proper form. So you've heard me talk about the importance of a neutral spine several times throughout the presentation. So I really want to go over what that means. Keeping a neutral spine simply means we are maintaining the integrity of each natural curve of the spine. And in the neutral position, the spine is at its most strongest and stable position. So the further from neutral, the more compression force is placed on the vertebrae, which leads to greater risk of injury. And our spine does fall out of neutral whenever we flex or extend our back, which is manageable when there is no external load involved. So the real problems arise when we start to add external load or excessive twisting or rotating to the compromised spine position. So now I want to talk about the importance of flexibility. Flexibility is something that's important to everyone, whether your job involves sitting at a desk, manual labor, whether you exercise or you don't. Flexibility is something that benefits everybody. So a high level of flexibility means improved mobility, which is important to every aspect of life. It means that injuries are less likely and that your body is better able to cope with the stresses of everyday life. And the fact is that many of us spend our days hunched in front of a computer in the office, or we're sitting behind the wheel of a car, sitting at dinner, which can lead to poor posture. So it's very important to practice flexibility exercises like stretching, yoga, and Pilates so that we can maintain our proper flexibility. So based on muscle groups and areas of the body that are often put under strain, we have 4 stretches that you can try during your workday or at home or even on the job site. So first we have a good neck stretch. That second picture is a good back stretch. The third is a hip opener. And the fourth is a good shoulder stretch. So these are just simple little stretches that you can do pretty much any time of the day to help improve your flexibility. So something that we're focusing on this quarter is flexibility and movement, because flexibility is something that we lose as we age. And the fact is that most of us are sitting for the majority of our day, which can lead to poor posture, flexibility, and pain. So it's very important that we practice flexibility exercises and try to move more throughout the day so our muscles and joints don't get too stiff. So something that we came up with is called the On the Hour campaign. So basically every Monday for the next 4 weeks, we'll be sending out an email that includes education on why we need to be active, a schedule for the week that you can follow, stretches and exercises that are ideal for the workplace, and tips on how to fit activity throughout your day. So here we have one of our example schedules that we're going to be sending out each week to encourage you guys to move a little bit more and think a little bit more about flexibility. And this schedule gives some great examples of exercises that you can do and stretches throughout the day to keep you moving a little bit more. And this sample schedule can be used as inspiration for your own schedule, or you can follow it hour by hour. It's something that you can print off each week and display somewhere at your desk where it's easily seen and you can be reminded of it. So be looking out for these emails. Feel free to contact a health coach if you have any questions. And if you missed the on-site presentation and you're watching this to make up for that, be sure to email a health coach to let them know that you watched this so you can get credit for it. Thanks so much for watching.